Welcome back to another explainer. I am seriously so excited about this one. Today, we're taking AI and completely transforming it. We're going to take it from this, magic answer machine and turn it into a true thinking partner. Consider this your step-by-step tutorial that is going to completely overhaul how you interact with artificial intelligence. To see why this is absolutely crucial, let's look at a pretty powerful contrast. Imagine two people. We'll call them person A and person B. Now, they both open the exact same AI tool on a Monday morning to solve the exact same problem. Person A, she forms her own opinion first. She keeps a written record of what she agreed with, what she rejected from the AI, and finishes the week with a clear recommendation that she can actually explain. But person B, he just lets the AI's first draft become his entire opinion. He forwards a polished document, but when someone asks why he made that recommendation, crickets. He literally cannot defend his own reasoning. You see, when two people use the exact same tools, the difference in their success always comes down to who actually did the thinking. And that brings us to the absolute golden rule of the AI era. It's this: the deliverable is never the answer. The deliverable is the documented evidence of thinking. Think about it. Producing a beautifully polished answer, that's not the hard part anymore. AI can literally do that in 5 seconds. The hard part, the thing that makes you incredibly valuable, is proving your independent judgment. Okay, let's dive right into the syllabus. We're going to cover the core rule of AI and then move through 5 practical steps. We've got the prediction lock, the reasoning receipt, scanning for errors, mapping the cascades, and finally, adding human value. So, kicking things off with Section 1, the core rule of AI. Stop letting AI do your thinking. Look, letting AI think for you is quite simply the fastest way to become totally replaceable. But why does this documented evidence matter so much? Well, AI's answers act as incredibly powerful mental anchors. Once you read a confident, well-written answer, your brain just kind of absorbs it. But writing forces your own thinking to happen. It actively protects your independent judgment, and that written record actually becomes a working tool to improve your final output. Without that evidence, you really just have an answer you cannot defend. So, how do we actually protect our judgment? That brings us to step 1, the prediction lock. Think before you ask. Here's the deal. If you read AI's confident answer before forming your own, you're going to unconsciously adopt it as your own idea. To stop that dead in its tracks, you need a mandatory 3-minute habit. You do this on a real piece of paper before you even open your AI tool. It's just 4 simple lines. First, name the real decision underneath the label. Second, identify one closed, verifiable question that would actually settle it. Third, take a position. State your decision and exactly why you made it based on what you already know. And fourth, record your confidence percentage and name the exact condition that would make you change your mind. Let's ground this in a real practical example. Meet 13-year-old Maya. She's got a dilemma: a 2-week debate camp with her friends or a 1-week coding boot camp. Now, before asking AI for help, she uses the prediction lock. Line 1, the real decision. Does she follow her friends or pick something totally on her own? Line 2, the verifiable question. Does the coding camp teach Python, which her school already teaches anyway? Line 3, her decision. She's going with debate camp because learning something new with friends totally beats repeating next year's curriculum. And line 4, she is 70% sure, but her flipping condition, the thing that would actually change her mind, is if the coding camp teaches a rare language her school doesn't offer, like Rust. Boom, she locked her prediction. So when she finally asks the AI and it confirms the camp teaches Python, her decision to go to debate camp holds, and more importantly, she knows exactly why. Moving right along to step 2, the reasoning receipt. Track your choices. Okay, so once you've asked the AI and it spits out an answer, you can't just blindly copy-paste a massive block of text. You have to track your choices. Just look at how a student used this exact receipt for a group presentation. You basically make a quick table with 3 columns: what AI said, what you did, and why. Check out the middle row. The AI suggested giving each person 5 minutes to speak. The student marked it reject and wrote the reason: we have 15 minutes for 4 people. The math doesn't work. Pretty simple, right? She also marked another idea as surfaced because the AI brought up doing a live demo, something she literally hadn't thought of. Tracking whether you accept, reject, modify, or surface ideas allows you to easily defend your final deliverable. Next up is step 3, scan for errors. Let's look at the error taxonomy. We really have to be careful here because AI writes with incredibly smooth, convincing prose. Honestly, it can lie with the absolute confidence of a politician. That fluency totally tricks our brains into thinking it's completely accurate, which is exactly why you have to specifically hunt for named errors. Take this practical example of buying a used Honda CR-V. If you just read the AI summary, it sounds amazing. But if you check for specific mistake categories by name, you catch the traps. You look specifically for a factual error and realize, wait, the AI claimed 32,000 miles, but the dashboard photo clearly shows 58,000. You look for missing context and realize it never mentioned the timing belt replacement. You look for a fabricated source and find out the Consumer Reports quote it gave you, yeah, it literally doesn't exist. Scanning by name saves you from making seriously expensive mistakes based on AI hallucinations. Now for step 4, map the cascades. Find the invisible loops. Here's a crucial thing to remember. AI only answers the exact question you ask. If you ask, will this save money? It will answer that, but it completely ignores the disastrous chain reactions your decision might cause in the real world. This beautifully illustrates why straight-line thinking fails. Let's say a university decides to replace human tutors with an AI chatbot to save 30% on costs. Well, let's trace the cascade map. First layer, struggling students try the chatbot, get super frustrated by it, and just give up. Second layer, without human help, the grades of the most vulnerable students drop. Third layer, those students transfer out. The hidden loop here is that the university loses all their tuition revenue, which tightens the budget even more, completely wiping out that initial 30% savings. You absolutely must map the side effects 3 layers deep before you act. And finally, we reach step 5. Add human value. First principles and collaboration. This step is all about true collaboration and what AI fundamentally cannot do for you. The crucial point is knowing exactly when generic AI advice fails. You need to define what's called a named threshold. See, AI is going to give you the consensus answer, what works for the average person. But if you disagree, never settle for a vague complaint like, well, it depends. No, force yourself to define a specific, numbered condition where the advice breaks. For example, if AI says your club should charge a membership fee, your named threshold might be, this works unless more than 80% of our members are first-year students who literally can't afford a fee. Defining that proves you know your specific context way better than the machine does. To really extract that human value, you should test your workflow using the 3 paths to a final draft. First, try doing a task solo to see what is uniquely yours. Then, do an AI-only version to see the generic middle ground. And finally, do a collaborative version where you use AI but you manually push back, rewrite, and inject your own personal context. True collaboration means laying all 3 of those side by side to see exactly where your judgment elevated the work. Let's actually see how this builds in a real-world scenario. Let's look at a student writing an email to ask for a deadline extension. On the left, the AI-only version is polished, sure, but it's totally generic. It buries the lead and honestly sounds like a robot. But on the right, the collaborative version absolutely wins. Why? Well, because the student used AI to structure it, but manually injected her specific knowledge. She knew her professor prefers a super direct tone, so she cut all the fluff. She also added proof of work, writing, I can show you what I have so far. Letting AI do all the typing strips away your unique context. The collaborative version always wins because of your human overrides. Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to ask yourself. Next time you use AI, what evidence will you have that you did the thinking? Remember, AI is not a machine to blindly obey. It's a partner to be managed. Start locking your predictions, keeping those reasoning receipts, and mapping your cascades. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.